My favorite CEO, GM, Mr. Team Leader, Tony Fletcher. Let's get this started.
Let's do it.
So, Tony, I have with me a very special guest, the Shift Book. Yes, sir. Let's go over it. So, tactic 4. I love it, tactic, which is kind of good. Let's get military here.
Yeah.
Is about lead generation and open houses. So, we're in the 21st century. Maybe you can educate us on 21st century tools and ways that you are having your agents do some lead generation, and then open houses. And I'll kind of just go along with the flow and throw my 2 billion cents worth in.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know that this chapter is find the motivated, lead generation, which is really, it's one of my favorite chapters of the book. So, I just think in general that our business over the years, we have a lead generation problem as agents.
Because we don't like to lead generation, Tony Fletcher.
Because we don't like to lead generate. That's
exactly. I know you do because it works for you. But for me, man, I have a hard time. I have to motivate myself by listening to like the Ben Kinneys of the world before I start cold calling or reading some scripts. I have to get some motivation in me, Tony.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it too is just a lot of it's in your head, and you just got to get over that part of it and just figure out a plan that works for you. And a lot of agents that I meet with, I ask them, tell me about your lead generation, and zero.
Right, Tony.
And so they're always curious, well, how come I'm not closing any transactions? Well, how much lead generation do you do? Well, I don't do any. Well, how can you close houses if you don't do any lead gen?
Yeah.
And so I ask agents, look, start with 15 minutes. And I would tell everybody out there the same thing is like, you got to start somewhere.
Oh, great. So incrementally.
If you haven't done 3 hours before, it's hard for you to do 3 hours. But if you can do 15 minutes and get used to doing 15 minutes, then you can go out to half an hour, and you'll find that as you start talking to more people and doing more things, that your time will expand on its own, and your follow-up will become, I do 1 day a week of just follow-up. I also don't waste time. I don't try to pound a square peg into a round hole and all those sorts of things. If it's about finding the motivated right now, and in our market, it's about listings. Yeah, if you have a buyer, that's awesome. Rates are at historic record lows, but it's hard.
Tony, I've had buyers in the beginning of the year. I don't have any more buyers left. None. They all just fell off the map. So within 3.5 months, I went from, because I was doing open houses, Tony, I had buyers pre-approved, ready. And they actually, one of them did buy, but they went with another agent because they wanted that property, and that agent somehow, I was out of the equation, which is okay. This is business, and that's fine. What I'm trying to say is I had a list of buyers, but I have none now. I have to get back to doing open houses. And that's what I like about this tactic number 4.
Yeah, because it gives you, if you go to page 55, you can really identify your zone. And I love this because, and I've shown this at the sales meetings before, is you list it, all the different things you do, you prioritize it, and then you find the ones you focus on. Because I think what happens is a lot of agents, I love expireds. Well, how many expired listings have you gotten? Well, I haven't gotten any. How long have you been doing it? Well, for 3 years. Well, you should probably try something different.
Absolutely. Or maybe Tony. Well, what I did when I got expireds was I wasn't calling the expires of that day or even that week. I was going back. I was going back 5 years. Tony, and I got listings.
Right.
Because every several years to 10 years, there's a change and there's a motivation. There's some kind of a life event and there's opportunity. And literally, I would say maybe out of every 30th call was a good lead on, I'm talking 5 years ago, expireds.
Right. And just like, people that do door knocking now, I think that's somewhat off the table. Even if you're comfortable with it, that doesn't mean every door you knock on is going to be comfortable with it. And that doesn't mean they're going to answer the door. And so you may have to shift your tactics a little bit and understand, what is the market of the moment and what's allowed and what's not allowed. And, how do I recreate that and generate leads for myself and my business with people that are motivated to sell today? Because again, that's where it's at. And so you've got to sit down and figure out, what are all the things that I do? Where does all my lead, go back and look at your last 12 months of sales. Where did each sale come from? Figure that out. Do more of that.
Now, Tony, I know that at Keller Williams, we have a back-end system. It's a multi-trend report that actually tracks our production. So even if you don't know, I mean, I'll reach out to you because I know, but I'm saying that if an agent doesn't know, they can reach out to their CEO, the team leader, or their who's ever running their team, the mega agents, and ask for a backlog to go back 12 months and see where the production came from. Right now, for me, that's why I like tactic number 4, Tony. It was straight from lead generation and all the aspects of lead generation from, even agent referrals, because I know it's agents that I've kept in touch with that I get referrals from.
Right.
It's not agents that I don't know. It's really literally the agents that I know well. For you as well, right, Tony? I mean, you get leads in a sense for recruiting because agents know you or people know you and they know that you'll do a good job for them. Sometimes they'll get an agent from out of town, say Texas, saying you're a lead of a recruit that's just moved there, got their license. Okay.
Right.
That's also your reputation. That's what gets you places.
Well, it is. And again, it's also building a foundation of which you build upon. And if you don't have any lead generation, you're not building a foundation. It's important that you build a foundation to draw from, because that's what's going to carry you through times like we're in today. Again, you know that you have to shift your focus to a listing-based focus so that you can, excel when, a lot of people are still standing on the sidelines. There's a lot of agents still standing on the sidelines, and it's not going to last forever. But while it is, you should be taking advantage of that and setting your lead generation on fire.
Absolutely. Massaging your database, massaging your relationships, calling past clients, saying thank you note cards, maybe even just say 5 a day, Tony, making several phone calls. So on page 55, the first priority is your list. So you've got to have your list. You've got to have something visually, Tony, that you can follow. Number 2 is then prioritize that list. And then number 3 is focus. And then really it's kind of your top 5 that are, to me, are going to be your real big callers, and it ends with open houses. And I'll actually put that screen over here. I'll put it in next to me over here. I'll put a shot of what this looks like on page 55, Tony.
Okay, good.
So that they have that. Tony, we'll know about lead generation. Can you quickly today in quarantine world tell us what lead generation looks like for an agent?
Right, looks like this. Looks like Zoom. Looks like Zoom. It looks like the phone. I would say to you that we have had a ton of people come into the Market Center and teach classes over the last 3 months. And I would tell you that they all have said the same thing. You need to get good at phone sales. And I know that a lot of people that come into the business now, they don't use their phone for calling. It's for texting and apps and things like that. It's more of a computer than it is a phone. You have to learn how to use your phone. You have to call people.
Right.
And if it's a care call, great. Just make care calls. Just go through your phone, call everybody on your phone, and see how they're doing.
Tony, I want to give a shout out to Big Irv. This is what Big Irv does is when he sees a birthday, he calls that person.
Yeah.
So it's maybe it's a one-step phone call. However, Tony, we all on Facebook and social media can see when somebody's birthday. We throw them a little slide, hey, happy birthday. But there's a big difference in actually getting on the phone, which you live on anyway. You wake up to it, you go to sleep with your phone, and calling that person saying, hey, Tony, happy birthday. And by the way, I know I missed your birthday and I feel sorry, so I'll slap myself on the hand. But I saw that a day later and I go, crap. One of my favorite people in the world, I forgot to wish him happy birthday. Which is one of my favorite. I know it's one of my family members' birthdays as well. So that's Big Herb. He does that. Another thing that I learned from you that I thought was remarkable, Tony, which is so having foresight, is you said your Airbnb account, contact the people in your farm or in your neighborhood that you want to get listings and hit them up. Tony, I mean, that was like a mind shift. And that kind of information and those trade secrets only come from your leadership. That's not something just invented. That's really sharing tricks of the trade with your talent in your market center, Tony, and all your agents, that is, to really get them ahead.
It is. I mean, it's part of understanding where the market is and where it's going. And, if you know that you live in an area and there's a lot of Airbnb rentals and you see the headline saying that they've stopped, you can't have Airbnb anymore.
Hollywood Hills, for instance. Yeah, Hollywood Hills, yeah.
Right. It's common sense. Those people, again, those properties were purchased, they have to cash flow. And if there's no cash coming in, they probably need to sell, or would at least entertain your call about selling. It really wouldn't be that cold of a call.
Exactly. It's like having an orchard. You want to plant a seed, you then water the seed, then eventually it grows and you can harvest it. So it might not be like right now money. However, you're keeping in relation because you already have a contact now, Tony. You're already having a communication. You're having contact with this person. It might not be today, but it might be in 6 months' time. It might be in a year's time. There's still part of your pipeline. It's still part of your lead generation.
It is, and that's part of, when you're lead generating, it's about building a pipeline of business. You want visibility in your business. If you don't have visibility in your business, you wake up every day saying, what am I going to do?
Right.
And that's a really hard way to live and run this business. It's not really, the business is running you. You're not running the business.
Okay, so Tony, I'm putting you on the spot right now because I know you know a lot. So that's why I have to ask. What is another trick that you have for lead generation under these circumstances?
Under these circumstances?
Yes. And Tony, give us a secret, Tony. Give us a secret. I want the whole world to know.
Hey, look, it's not a secret at all. I have to just look at it. If I was an agent and I was out there working today, like, what would I be doing? I'm telling you this from the bottom of my heart. I would be out there. I would be going through every vacant home in my area, and I would start at the low price range, and I would go from the low price range to the middle price range to the high price range, and I would do 10 or 15 walkthroughs, and I would post those every day. And if you're posting 10, 15, 20 open houses every day at all different price ranges to connect any buyer that's interested, you're going to get somebody.
So let me make this easy for you to understand what Tony just said. We've got this time now that we can make an appointment. We can go to a vacant home. So it's not occupied. There's nobody there. And that listing agent wants you to sell that property. So he the minute you call him, he's excited because you create some energy around his listing. I can go to that listing. I can film it. It could be anywhere from 60 seconds to a couple of minutes long, talking about the neighborhood, talking about the schools, the demographics, and also the home itself. And then also maybe there's some HOA, whatever it may be, and some clubhouse and so forth. Really trying to upsell the property and put that online. So what Tony's saying is, Tony, and I'm going to be really frank with you right now. I don't see that being done. Now, maybe I should be doing that because that sounds so bloody fantastic. And thank you, by the way. But I don't see that being done. And honestly, I think that is so simple because there's no rules holding you from doing that. But there is rules from doing an open house, even showing an open house, filling out release forms and COVID forms. And I mean, listen, it doesn't become impossible, it becomes a nuisance trying to do business. Where what you're saying is, honestly, you could do 3 of those a day, Tony. Morning, lunch, and afternoon. Literally,
sure.
15-minute little walkthroughs.
Yeah, and again, like I said, you hit all price ranges so that you're not leaving any part of the market out.
Right.
You're going to be heavier into the what's selling in your marketplace. Like right now, I mean, I can tell you right now in our marketplace, the average sales price has dropped $100,000 in 3 months. So the bottom of the market is where it's at, and that's the I call it meat and potatoes. That's where the turnover is. That's where the people are looking. That's where record low interest rates make the most sense for people to get into the market. So great. So spend some time in there and just start putting that stuff out there. And I like the other thing about it is that you don't necessarily have to put your face on it. If you're not comfortable putting your face on camera yet, then don't. Walk the house. You do the talking, walk around. Again, it can be very simple. It doesn't have to be, again, you could get this done in an hour. You can have 3 houses, post one in the morning, post one in the afternoon, post one in the evening, every day for a month. Someone's going to reach out to you and say, hey, I saw your post. I saw your virtual tour.
Right. So Tony, you know that I'm a big YouTuber right now, and some of the guys I'm watching, Tony, honestly, that's how they started. And Tony, these guys today, I'll throw his name out there, Graham Stefan. He would show an open house really with his cell phone. That's all he did, Tony. 3 years ago, 3 years later, I'm not saying to quit real estate because he owns $6 million worth of real estate. But 3 years later, the guy's making $2 million a year from when he started 3 years ago. So Tony, the kid's 29 years old, making $1.9 million in 2019. And how he's filmed open houses. I'll actually put a link in some of his open houses in the description box below so you can see what he did. And look at the payoff, Tony. Look at the payoff. Now he's an investor. Now he's a fix and flip guy. But he still belongs to a big agency in Hollywood from doing open houses. Can we get into open houses right now, Tony?
No open houses right now.
Okay, so you want to discuss the open houses right now?
Oh, I mean, you can't. You're not allowed to do them in our area.
Okay, but so when do you think that will open up for us to do open houses?
Well, I hope soon, because there's a lot of agents that really do a lot of business on open houses, and I think that is the number one thing. And this is going to be crazy. We have had more customers in the last 30 days demanding open houses than I could have ever imagined. We have a lot of people that said, hey, my house is listed, I want an open house. And I find that fascinating that with all this going on, they're selling their home. I want an open house. I don't care. I want an open house. So
now they're demanding it. Before, like, oh, what an inconvenience.
Right.
I gotta get the kids out of the house. It's going to be clean. Now they're going, hey, what's going on? I love that, Tony. Because tactic for the last part of the chapter is about open houses. So if we can cover that now, at least we can set our agents up for success, because there is especially with 21st century tools, there's such an amazing platform to broadcast your open house and showcase it. And I've seen some open house videos on YouTube, Tony. The one is of this lady. It's probably the worst video I've ever seen in my life of her doing a walkthrough of the house. Tony, almost over 380,000 views.
Right.
So not 10, not 20 views, not her friends and her buddy, hundreds of thousands of views, but she actually did it. That's the point. She actually did it. So it's almost it's almost organic. It doesn't have to be planned. You don't need a script. You don't need anything super fancy. It's just really organic. And look at the success she's had. I wonder if she's still in the business, but I mean that to me, because I'm all about views and comments and likes and hashtags and bells and subscribing, which I'd love you to do to the channel right now, because I'm kind of doing that for an upsell because it helps the analytics. But Tony, this is the 21st century. You have to know your numbers. You have to treat this like a business.
You do, and like you said, we have an opportunity now that we're starting to get back into regular business, but you still have the opportunity to catch people online. And right, we've all spent the last 3 months on Zoom. So if you weren't comfortable being on camera, then you should be now. And most of us have all been on Zooms. We've all had kids in the background. We've all had pets in the background. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on. We're all human. Nothing's perfect. Nobody's perfect. You just get out there and show what we have. Show your market. Show the inventory. Allow people to find you. If people can't find you, there's no lead gen going on. Yeah, and if you're an open house person, you have to figure out a way to find your market in what you do.
Do a virtual open house. And can you talk to us about what a virtual open house looks like?
It's really the same thing. I mean, so I've looked at a lot of them. Some of them are really, really good. Mm-hmm. Some of them have real high production quality. Some of them are really, really bad. And what I've found is just the fact that they're doing them is the thing. I don't pay attention to who the agent is. I pay attention to the pictures, the home, what their descriptions are. Again, the agent is almost secondary.
You're not buying the agent, you're buying the home.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I find the ones that are most appealing to me have a little higher quality, better color. But again, I've seen lots of them that are shaky videos, and people don't really want to talk on camera. But
right.
you know what? They did it. If I'm in that price range and that's the house for me, it's easy to contact that person.
Exactly. And Tony, you're catering to them.
Right.
You know, one of my favorite sayings, action solves everything. That's all it is, Tony. It's just action. It's not a perfection. My son just bought a car recently, Tony. And so I've been teaching him some sales because I'm a salesperson. And I said to him, you know, there is always going to be a price that they want to sell you at, which is a high price. And there's going to be the middle price and the low price. You'll never get the low price because you don't want that low price car. You don't want the high price car because you really can't afford it, but you love it. You'll go for the middle of the line. So when we went to the negotiation, the car's value was $4,300. It was a Ford Escape. It was $4,300. She was selling for $3,900. I came and said, hey, let's cut to the chase. I don't waste your time or waste my time. If I brought you $3,500 cash, would you sell the car today? She said, yes. Went over, gave her the cash, got the car, you know, but I was showing him, I was trying to teach my son that, you know, making that phone call, taking that initial action, doing something instead of nothing, he got a really great deal.
Right.
But because he's been looking at all these different cars, and so was I, but we never pulled the trigger. So eventually we got on the phone, asked a few questions. Okay, Tony, got down to business, made the deal.
Right. That's it. It's all about doing. It's all about just taking action of it and understanding that if there's no action, nothing's going to happen. You know, you can look at a million cars until you pick up the phone and call somebody. You're not going to get a car.
Right. So on page 71 of the shift is the 7 layers of doing an open house.
Yep.
Like this, I just want to cover the first one and the last one, number 7. So the first one is open house signs. Now I was trained to have at least a minimum of 25 open house signs. Mm-hmm. That's when I first got into the business, and it worked. I mean, everything from the freeway right to the home was really what they wanted, and it worked. And I remember it would take me at least an hour or more sometimes to put out the bloody open house signs. Yeah. You know, in Southern California, it's hot. I'm in a suit. You know what I mean, Tony? But and then after the open house, and normally we would do them from like noon to 6, because the sun's always out and people are still at the beach coming home. So we're trying to catch before they go to the beach and when they're coming back from the beach. And then Tony, now it's at 6 o'clock and I've had a busy day and I have to go get all the signs back. It was quicker. Of course, I leveraged my wife and kids sometimes, you know, because I'm like, please help me, guys. But so level 1 is open house signs. To me, the more the merrier. Because it's also about branding. Let's give you a name out there. And then the last level, level 7, Tony, there's several steps to take. Besides everything to the open house, where you have your open house signs, you put I normally put American flag, and I've seen balloons. The third portion is directional signs on every corner. Yes, so that's at least 20 odd plus signs, Tony. Number 4 is flyers, of course, at the home. Email invites, and then maybe posting on different social media sites that you have an open house today or the day before, like a Saturday before Sunday. And then also I remember going and door knocking the neighborhood and inviting them to the open house and letting them know, hey, I'm actually having a special VIP showing for all the neighborhood, the neighbors from 12 to 1 or 11 to noon. And then I always had water and cookies or water and some kind of snacks or candy. And they loved that. I didn't get 100 neighbors. Maybe it was like I got a handful, 2 to 3 couples at a time, but I still got somebody, Tony. And then of course there's calling all the people that were interested in the property. That's number 6. And number 7 is hold 4 other open houses in the area with different price ranges. You already mentioned that. You know?
Yeah, and again, that's my virtual thing is this 7th level open house is, again, whether it's you or a few of you get together and do that. Again, I think it's very powerful that you have multiple. Do it in bulk. You have the opportunity to do it in bulk.
Yes, exactly. Back to back.
Take advantage of it. Take advantage of it.
So that's what Tony's saying is in today's world, under quarantine, you can have the time, you can go out and do it. And when you do an open house, and of course, everything, the last portion of the tactic chapter number 4, Tony, is time blocking. We know how important time blocking is. If you don't follow your calendar, it really doesn't exist. And then you're just winging it, Tony. And that's what I did like about the 3 aspects of time blocking is, let me just go to the page, was the first one was, plan out your vacations, which I love. Because, Tony, we all dream about vacations. We really don't have that many when we're working because we just work. We seem to be working more than anything else. But that's right. Priorities first, vacation, family time. Second was block a few hours a day to do nothing but lead generation. Tony, I know you and I know my schedule. 9 to noon is lead generation.
Yep.
Right now I'm looking at properties and I'm putting in offers on properties, Tony. That's from 9 to noon. That's really what I'm doing. And I know for you, it's calling agents, setting appointments and so forth. But in the morning, because I've worked with you for so many years, you're probably one of the most certain things in my life right now. And I think you know that, Tony, is that you don't answer your phone. Because I've called you in the morning. I'll speak to you later. Or, I'm in a point. And I know that, but sometimes I forget. Tony will answer my phone call if I call right now. And you're done, like, because it's his lead generation time. And you're strict about that. I know that about you, Tony. And I respect that. Sometimes I forget, or sometimes my ego says, oh, Tony will answer my phone call. I'm just being transparent with you.
Yeah, sure.
But I do know that's your time of lead generation. Even though you're in leadership, you still do lead generating.
Yeah, and I would also say this, you don't have to do 9 to noon, but you need to block out some time. 9 to noon is ideal. But if you erase it in the calendar, you got to put it someplace else. And I think that's one of the things that if you're good at lead gen, one of the really good things is that your day doesn't always just go exactly how you want it to go. And you need to be able to shift around and put your lead gen where it needs to go. And sometimes, so I have a gal that I coached, and she was struggling with the lead gen from 9 to noon. And at the time, my schedule was set up so that I was really doing my lead gen from like 2 to 5 or 1 to 4, something like that. And I said, well, heck, I've been doing mine in the afternoon. And it just opened up her whole world. She says, oh, I don't have to do 9 to noon? I said, no, just put your 3 hours in. It's more important to put your 3 hours in. And so it's more important to put the time in.
You're so right, because I was just trained that way, but you are right. It really is up to you, Tony.
It is.
Even to me, because it's real estate as a contact sport, even open houses, if you can do open houses in the afternoon, that's still in a sense of lead generation because you're meeting clients and so forth. There's calling expireds, there's calling FISBOs, there's do online social media advertising. But there's so many ways to lead generate, but you've got to time block it. And everybody has their way, and it does work for them, Tony, because there's so many guys that are successful in so many different ways. So I want to carry on, please, Tony, to page 79. It's that the anatomy of 3 hours a day, which is really good, Tony, because I remember, I want to go back to the beginning because a lot of new agents are watching this because they want to learn. I remember in the morning, I'd come in at about 8:30, I'd have my coffee, and I would watch like a Ben Keeney video, or I remember there's some cold callers like Kevin Ward. I'm going back in the day now, Tony, decades ago.
That's okay.
And I remember I'm getting motivated by them, and just I'd watch their videos maybe dozens and dozens of times. It didn't matter. I still thrived on hearing how they reacted, their posture, their tonality. And then I'd get into read over my script for about, say, 5 minutes, and then I hit the phone. And that's how I got my first few deals. Once I got a listing, then I was doing open houses. I wish I started doing more open houses, because I spent about 6 months going to all these classes, and I had to be this professional expert. I had to know, everything was in real estate, which you don't. That's what you have vendors for. They can handle title for you. They can handle your mortgage accountability numbers for you. They can handle your escrow. You call your experts. You have a pocket full of professionals in your back pocket. But I thought I had to know everything. You don't.
No, you have to do it. You just have to get out there and do it. I think that's the most important thing, is just really getting out there and doing it. So, like I said, mine looks a lot like this. And again, if you're not at 3 hours yet, it's fine. So if this is 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, whatever that is, prepare, take action, maintain.
Yes, thank you.
And like I said, I have a full day of just follow-up. I get a lot of what I do, it's more recruiting now, but a lot of my stuff is from follow-up. And, a lot of what I do is from my follow-up. And if I would say that I'm really good at something, I would say my follow-up is really, really good. Because once we've spoken, I'm not letting go of that until, what's
Right.
the term? Buy or
Uh,
die.
Tony, I know you very well, Tony. You're fearless. That's one thing I like about Tony is we're kind of the yin and the yang, which I just love. I call Tony. He's the Ford, I'm the Ferrari, because he's the what was that gentleman the Saline, the Ford Mustang,
Shelby?
the Shelby. Tony's the Shelby. I'm the Miles of Ferrari. You're racing Ferraris because I respect Tony's opinion and Tony's helped me many times. But then I also have my way of doing business and conducting business. However, when the two merge, there's some synergy there. There's some magic there. And out of all of my business over many, many years, the reason I keep coming back to Tony Fletcher is because that's kind of my certainty, and that's helped me a lot. Because in real estate, there's lots of ups and downs, and there is more ups than there is downs. It's kind of like it's like the bell curve, Tony. You know what I mean? It's warming up, it gets to the peak, then it goes down again, and sometimes you have to have some certainty in your life, and that's why I have Tony. That's why I've been with him for so long, and I keep going back to Tony. Sometimes every now and then I'll jump the ship and I'll go somewhere else to test the waters and see what the seven seas are like. Then I'll come back and say, "Crap, Tony." I thought I had it. I had the vision, and but at least I'm human enough to admit that I know I know what great leadership is, and follow-up is a problem of mine. I have a hard time following up because I just want to get on with it, move on, leave that behind, and move forward into the next lead or deal or business I'm working on. And sometimes if you don't follow up, you're forgetting about those past clients that helped you get to where you are.
Right.
So that is the problem, is follow and also follow through, and that's because I don't have a proper system in place, or I do have one, I'm just not executing it correctly.
Well, you have to set aside time for the follow-up, because if you're making the calls in the first place, if you don't follow up, that's where all the money is. That's where all the magic happens, is in the follow-up. And I think that I spend people that I am coaching and consulting with, it's all about follow-up. Especially the more successful agents, where they're blocked, where they get hung up, is it's like going fishing, and you catch a fish, and the minute you catch a fish, you move your spot to someplace else. They have a fish, they caught a fish, they don't keep fishing in the same spot. They move, and they don't follow up. They have past clients, they have database of people, and they don't call them. They don't follow up with them. It's a common theme with agents, is just that there's no follow-up occurring. And I think that's just you've already spent the time to generate that person into your database. To not continue to follow up with them is just, it just causes you all sorts of problems down the road.
Nice. Tony, thank you for your time, by the way. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Really do. I love doing this.
I know.
We should just do it without the book. We should just for an hour.
Absolutely. I think what we should do, Tony, is maybe I come up with some kind of curriculum, and we can really have an in-depth session on not really the mentoring part of it, but the success of real estate. Because everybody, especially myself, when I first got into real estate, I didn't like the idea of being coached or mentored until I was.
Neither.
Until I was, and then I was like, wow, what a difference it made in my business. But at that time, it was very hard to convince me, and I hadn't even sold anything. But yet I had this ego and this impression that I was amazing and so forth, and which we all do, because that's how we exist.
Right.
So I'm not the only person. I'm just saying that I had my fair share of blind spots in my life. So maybe we should do something like that, where we go from an A to Z of really 21st century. This is how it is. Quarantine or not, you're going to make it happen on the agent's terms. So let's do that. How about we'll do that next week? Let's do that.
We'll just take a 1 week break of this and pick it up the next week.
Okay, very good. Tony, thank you for your time. Tony, you know me, I always like a takeaway. So one thing that you've heard lately, or that you've seen lately, or that's happened lately, that you can share with us, whether it's through your network or not, as you being a general manager.
I'm going to tell you this one thing, and I know that it's always been the basis of our business, but now more than ever, it's about listings. I don't care what it is you have to do to get a sign in the yard, get a sign in the yard.
Yeah. So whoever owns the listings owns the market, owns the inventory.
More so now than ever.
Wow. Okay. I've heard that a lot, but I take it very serious, and you're right. And I do believe that because I've said that as well. That after this whole episode passed away, which it is finally starting to fall away, and the floodgate gates are going to open up, Tony.
There's
Whoever
just so
owns
little,
inventory.
there's so little inventory in the market that if you have a listing and it's remotely priced correctly, it's going to sell.
Beautiful.
And you won't be one of those 10 buyers trying to get into it. Because, you know, that's the sad thing about the buy side right now is that you go to a property, there's 10 offers, 9 don't get it. And so you've got to keep going out over and over and over with your buyer until you get one of those properties. And it is a grind. Get a listing. Circle prospect around new listings. Circle prospect around sold listings. That is easy to do. You can do it from home. You can do, I don't know, you can do a new listing. You can circle prospect in an hour.
Right, absolutely, Tony.
You can do 10 or 12 houses a day.
Right. And today with target marketing through social media and Google and Facebook and analytics, Tony, literally they know exactly who's who in your neighborhood, what they're doing, what they're looking for, and how to target them. But way better than any of us will ever imagine.
Agree.
Okay,
get listings.
Exactly. Yeah, I love it. Get listings. Tony, thank you for your time. I really appreciate that, Mr. Fletcher. Tony Fletcher is a general manager. He overlooks a few market centers in Orange County. However, he's also sought after by leadership because of his knowledge, because of his thick skin, because he's worked everywhere from Oregon down to Southern California. He's been in multiple avenues of real estate when it comes to real estate owned properties. That's, you know, the kind of wholesale real estate world, to traditional, to commercial, to selling movie studios, to big hotel buildings in downtown Los Angeles. I mean, you name it, Tony's been involved. So pick his brain. I'll have all of Tony's contact details in the description box below. Guys, contact him. He's super approachable and he's super knowledgeable. At the same time, he will change your life. Look at me, for instance. What I love Tony is he's like a dad figure to me. I'm a solo entrepreneur. One thing I like about Tony, I'm giving this to Tony. I'm giving you a shout out, Tony, that Tony's never closed the door behind me. Every time I've come back a few times, and that's okay, Tony. You know, I'm the prodigal son. Tony's been in there for me. So if you're looking for some certainty in your life, this is the man. And I will not stop endorsing him because he is a big advocate of seeing his people succeed, and you as well. So get a hold of him. I dare you to get a hold of Tony. I dare anybody watching to get a hold of Tony. Thank you, bud.
All right. Have a good one.
Cheers, Tony. Have a good weekend.
See you next week.
Cheers, buddy.